Good evening and welcome to our April 7th, 2015 Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present. We appreciate your presence as well, and we will start the night off with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll turn the time to Vice Chair White for that.
So Jeremy, please come up.
Right there by the
Right
microphone.
up to the microphone,
Stand
please.
other
On the
side.
No.
Good job.
Okay, audience, please rise. Salute. And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And audience, please be seated.
Jeremy, if you want to just quick tell us what you're here for. Which troop you're with and the badge you're looking.
Troop 1, and we're getting city citizenship and community badge.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for being here. Are these your other troop members? You guys want to come up and introduce yourselves real quick?
Peyton Small, and this is Cody.
And you guys are getting the same merit badge?
Yes, citizenship in the community.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, you guys. Please join us now for a moment of silence. Thank you. The next item on our agenda today is some recognitions, the first being Joseph Nicholas. We've asked Councilmember White if she would read that recognition.
I'd be honored. This is a joint resolution of the Ogden City Council and Mayor, recognizing the life and legacy of Joseph Nicholas and his significant contributions to the Ogden community. Whereas Joseph Vincent Nicholas was born July 13, 1942 in Mobile, Alabama, where he grew up and attended high school. Upon graduation, Joseph joined the United States Air Force. He served in the Air Force for 21 years before retiring from active military duty in 1981. Joseph and his wife, Maxine, eventually moved to Sacramento, California, where he was highly recognized and received numerous awards for his civic service, and whereas Joseph relocated to Utah in 1998 to work as a third-level supervisor in the maintenance division at Hill Air Force Base. During the 2 decades Joseph lived in Utah, he served the Ogden community in multiple capacities, representing the virtues of high ethics, sound character, and professionalism in all of his civic duties. And whereas Joseph was the first vice president and former president of the Ogden branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. He played an instrumental role in building working relationships between the NAACP and many community organizations, including Weber State University, Ogden Weber Community Action Partnership, Marshall White Center, Project Success, and the Northern Utah Coalition. And whereas Joseph thrived on building partnerships with students, nonprofit organizations, and faith-based communities. Through the NAACP, he was actively engaged in the branch's annual Martin Luther King Day celebrations of a day of service and Black History Month activities. Joseph was also an appointed member of the state Martin Luther King Jr. Human Rights Commission and supported the activities and events of the local and regional Masonic Order. And whereas Joseph actively sought out opportunities to serve our community He judged Martin Luther King Jr. student essay speeches, often served as a keynote speaker, and was involved in countless community committees. Joseph was a strong advocate of human rights and building strong community ties. He encouraged all whose lives he touched to never give up on a worthy fight. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell hereby recognize Joseph Nicholas for his outstanding contributions in the Ogden community. We are saddened by Joseph's passing and offer our sincere condolences to his family, friends, and other close associates. We are confident that his legacy will continue for many years to come. With that, I propose that we adopt the Joint Resolution 2015-12.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair White, seconded by Councilmember Stevens, to adopt Joint Resolution 2015-12. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Maxine, will you please come up?
If you'll come up and bring those people with you that have come with you.
Our opportunity to take a picture with you.
Yeah, we're going to take a photo.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
And little ones.
How are you?
Thank you for being.
Thank you. You'll kind of hold that in front of you. We'll kind of gather behind you, and we'll take a photo.
Sit down.
Thanks for always.
I'm letting you know.
All right, you young guys, turn around.
Hi, Councilmember Blair. Oh, hey, buddy. Thank you. Can we get in this booth? This is a little tall, sorry. Just go over. Thank you. And just drop a little bit. Sorry. I'm confusing them. We'll get it. We'll make sure you're good. Okay, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. Thank you. Hey, thank you.
I thank you for this award. My husband would be very proud. Thank you again.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
The next recognition is concerning Child Abuse Prevention Month. We've asked Councilmember Wicks if she would present that one.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. This is a joint proclamation of the Ogden City Council and Mayor declaring April 2015 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ogden City, and it reads as follows. Whereas, although all children deserve to experience and enjoy a carefree and innocent childhood, child abuse is a serious and growing problem, with over 2,000 Utah cases being investigated annually. And whereas child abuse respects no racial, religious, class, or geographic boundaries, the incidence of sexual abuse is the most common form of abuse in Utah, and 88% of abusers are the parent or other relative of the victim. And whereas preventing child abuse depends upon the efforts of residents to make a positive, substantial impact on the children of today who will become the leaders of tomorrow. And whereas all Ogden City residents are encouraged to become more aware of child abuse within their respective communities, learn how to prevent it, and actively encourage and support parents to raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment. And whereas Ogden City encourages individuals, families, and businesses to support Prevent Child Abuse Utah in their important mission to prevent child abuse throughout the state. Now, therefore, the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell do hereby proclaim April 2015 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ogden City. We encourage residents to join Prevent Child Abuse Utah in becoming advocates for children to create a society where child abuse is not tolerated. We ask everyone to actively foster a caring community which will help to protect our children and end child abuse and neglect. So with that, I would make a motion that we adopt the joint resolution.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Wicks, seconded by Councilmember Garner, to approve this recognition, and this is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I see Carrie Jensen.
It's Carrie Jensen, you want to come up and
I want to thank Ogden City for supporting us again year after year. You guys have definitely done that for us. Prevent Child Abuse Utah in different forms has existed in Ogden since 1982. So we definitely appreciate the support that the council gives us, and just wanted to show the pinwheels. The pinwheels represent the bright, happy future that every child deserves, and that's the recognition that we want to bring this month, that every child deserves to be safe and happy and have a good childhood. So that's what the pinwheels will represent as you see those all around the community. So thank you.
thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is it's kind of a new thing for us. Thank you.
Do it again.
It's Weber Speaks. So we have some university communication students that are here to address the council for 5 minutes each. And I think we have, you know what order you're in, I assume. So I think Haley Waldbillig.
Hi.
Mr.
Chair.
Yes.
If we could, just for the audience's benefit, I've asked our Glenn Symes if he would take just a second regarding the topic of formula-based business restrictions.
Wonderful.
All of these speeches will be regarding that topic. Would that be
Great.
okay?
That would be wonderful.
Sure, thank you. Well, just to cut through the jargon a little bit, sometimes we use words and people don't know what they mean. So the basic idea of a formula-based business restriction is a restriction on chain restaurants. So any business that has, typically the ordinances say 10 or more of the same locations that use the same business model, logos, coloring, menu items, things like that, would be considered formula-based businesses. So the background and the impetus for some of these is to protect maybe a historic district or an area that's got unique character from being overrun by chain businesses. So that's what a chain or a formula-based business restriction would be. So does that cover everything?
Thank you.
Okay.
And maybe just one more comment, if I could.
Sure.
And the intention is that each semester we'll have 6 students come to give a persuasive speech that's a topic that's of interest to the council. So this one was provided, I think we're going to have 5 speeches tonight, if I'm correct. So this is the beginning of Weber Speaks program at the university with the intention of having students speak in the community in many different forums and gain the experience and also allow them to provide some important research information for us. So that's the background. Thank you.
Now, this is part of that College Town initiative that's coming forward. It's one of those great things that we get to share back and forth, and so we're eager for the speakers tonight.
So we appreciate all those that are organizing and working with us. Dr. Markland, thank you.
Okay, you want to introduce yourself and then?
Thanks for having me. My name's Haley Waldbillig, and I'm here with Weber Speaks and also as a small business owner in Ogden. So this is a topic I really care about. Born and raised in Salt Lake City, I had always heard of Ogden referred to as the armpit of Utah. And I was surprised upon visiting Ogden the first time that it was completely different than this reputation. Like an armpit, everyone said it was going to be smelly because it was right next to the Great Salt Lake, crime-ridden, ghetto, underdeveloped. And when I first visited, I was surprised to find that this wasn't true. And I fell in love with Ogden enough to actually move here. Having been a resident over the last 6 months, I feel like I have a unique perspective in being able to compare it to Salt Lake, which is overcrowded and filling to the brim, to Logan, where I used to go to Utah State University, which is a small rural college town with absolutely no downtown, and then comparing that to Ogden, which I believe to have the best of both worlds. For the benefit of our Ogden community, we should not promote the development of franchises in the downtown area, which would only perpetuate Ogden's negative reputation. Rather, we should encourage small business growth through incentives for local business owners and discourage franchise development through zoning regulations. It's been a long-lived joke that Weber is a separate entity outside of Ogden, that Weber State University is almost like its own city. I believe that in order to attract more students to Weber and residents to Ogden, we should focus on zoning that promotes developing a more cohesive college town through an emphasis on local businesses, especially restaurants. By doing so, you're building a community rather than a strip mall. Like most universities, fast foods and chain restaurants lie along the perimeter for easy access for students who don't have a lot of time and they don't have a lot of money. Developing franchises similar to this have no attraction value when it comes to bringing students into the downtown area when they could reach these same type of businesses much closer to campus. They could save money, they could save time, gas mileage, etc. In addition to being a college student, I'm also a small business owner. I run Granola Greens Urban Farm and Microgreenery, which is a community-supported agriculture business. And while I'm not involved in food preparation, such as a local restaurant, I'm a food producer, so I work really closely with local businesses who are in the food industry in Ogden. This can illustrate a good example of the benefits of trickle-down economics when you promote local business growth. For example, franchises and formula restaurants will never buy my produce. Instead, they're going to go through a large-scale producer like Sysco, who can give them bulk produce that's cheaper and also more uniform, so all of their product turns out the exact same. I have no ability to compete with this, nor would I like to, because I think it would compromise the integrity of my product and also the sustainability of running an organic farm. However, the likelihood of a local small business or coffee shop buying my products is much greater. And in doing so, the customer's money stays in the local economy. It goes to the local business owner, it goes to the resident employees, and then it would go to a local producer like me. While zoning can't prevent certain entities from buying property in the downtown area, it can make certain stipulations that make it harder for franchises to buy that property. And in doing so, you're making it a little bit easier for small businesses to compete in something that often turns into a money war. I know really well how tight money is when you're running a small business. It's not the easiest thing to do. So giving the underdog any type of leg up is a great benefit to them when they otherwise wouldn't be able to compete for such high priority locations in a downtown area. I believe it would be a disservice to Ogden's community to promote franchise growth in the downtown area. Salt Lake City's filled up. People are finally starting to kind of bubble over the brim and develop and explore Utah's areas, and learning more about Ogden is what I believe to be the best kept secret of Utah. I think before it's too late, we should promote values that support our local community, because that's what's giving us a good reputation and having a historic downtown. Promoting and encouraging small businesses will promote a cohesive college town, community growth, and economic security. Let's not ride on the coattails of historic 25th Street forever. I think we should make a historic downtown in entirety. So as, let me start over that. Let's not ride on the coattails of historic 25th Street forever. Let's make an entire downtown that's worthy of history by staying loyal to local. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Braden Heyer, and I'm also representing Weber State.
Welcome, cousin.
Hello, cousin Heyer. So I want you to imagine you are back in the year 1888, and you're walking down 25th Street. As you're walking, you're going to see horses. You're going to smell that dust that you're kicking up as you're walking, and you'll hear the wooden wagon wheels as they pass by you. In an article in the Western Galaxy dated June of 1888 stated, "Indeed, the Junction City has a future almost certain to put in the shade any of her sister cities. She is likely to become the Chicago in miniature of the Intermountain region. As you all know, Ogden's 25th Street was recently named one of the top 10 historic main streets in America. And the restaurants along the streets are all locally owned. Can you imagine Ogden without that rich history? We have a problem, or we wouldn't be here today. And that problem isn't a problem that we all think of. That problem is these franchises coming in and taking away from that feel, that history feel. Ogden has a rich history, and we don't want to lose that unique historic treasure that we have and feel as we drive down Ogden. If we allow all these big franchises to come in and do whatever they want, it could change the atmosphere and historical Ogden feel. And when there are more options when there's more options and competition, it's a lot harder for the locally owned businesses to stay in business. You can see it quite often in big chain restaurants or stores, and will come in, and over time, the smaller businesses will struggle to stay in business. And a lot of franchises are very similar and tend to do the same thing and have a similar food or style. Because the franchises are so similar, it wouldn't bring a uniqueness to the Ogden area. As you can see, there can be more problems that can come if we let franchises come in and do whatever they want. But there are also some positives that come from allowing franchises to come in. People like big franchises, and it offers more jobs. But we need to be careful and aware to not let the franchises take away the history of Ogden. Some ways we can make sure the history stays here in Ogden is we can create a historical district that limits types of businesses and make sure that any new businesses follow city codes, such as like the signs that they put up. Make sure that it still keeps that historical feel here in Ogden. A lot of small locally owned businesses struggle, especially that first year or two. And even after those first couple of years, especially when big competition come in. So we could give the smaller businesses tax incentives to help them get started and get on their feet. And we need to make sure we keep these fun, locally owned businesses so that we can keep that uniqueness and history in Ogden. And one thing that I love about locally owned businesses is that it's more personable, and it's more than just a job for the workers, but it's a livelihood. There's in Park City, my family went to a sandwich shop, and the owner would come out and talk with us and see how our day was going and make sure our food was good. And if our smoothie wasn't good, he would go and get us a new one that we did like. And there was just a wonderful feeling. It was fun to be there with my family. And that's what I really like about locally owned businesses. It's more than just a job, but it's a livelihood. And you can feel that from most small business owners. And if we limit the franchises that come in, more people will go to these small locally owned companies and have these fun family experiences, just as I did 3 years ago in Park City with my family that I still remember to this day. I want you to imagine again driving down 25th Street. But instead of going back in time, I want you to think of the future. And I want you to remember that fun hometown Ogden feel that you get when you drive down Ogden. Now picture yourself driving down 25th Street, and all you see are franchises. Yes, there might be some good restaurants, but isn't there a different feel to it? You can drive anywhere and feel that feeling you felt when thinking of franchises. You can just drive down to Riverdale or Layton or Provo and feel that same feeling you feel when you see those franchises. But there is only one place that feels and has that history of Ogden, and we need to keep that history here where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Hello, my name is Kara Dar, and I would like to introduce myself as the next Katie Couric that graduated from Weber State University. So I am here today because Ogden City wanted the opinions of college students, of which I am one. So what I have to say in the next 4 to 5 minutes could change the whole entire future of Ogden. That's pretty great. And let me just be the first to admit, I love Chili's. I say long live Olive Garden. I got Arby's on my way over here. I love franchises, but I do not want them swarming and thriving in Ogden, but I have also come to acceptance that they could make what makes Ogden thrive. Knowing that the city cannot pass legislation prohibiting certain owners, local or chains, I completely respect any decision that the city will come to. I also understand that it's really difficult for chain restaurants to be established in Ogden due to design, building structure. It's hard for them to work with what Ogden City has to provide because they want to maintain their image. Now, the Formula of Business Ordinance questions why chains should even be considered to be established in Ogden. They're not unique, they're not diverse, and they do not offer locals a fun new thing to try. While local businesses are incredibly unique, and the diversity radiates in 25th Street, from the American foods at Roosters to the Oriental dining experiences at Tona Sushi Bar or Senche. Now, as great as local businesses are, they have a problem. They have a harder time getting their name well known. That is an issue because they cannot fund anything. They can, but is it enough to get themselves well known? Think about it. The Union Station is probably the most well-known place in downtown Ogden. Big O Tires filmed a commercial right in front of the Union Station. Now everybody knows this Toby Keith impersonator that stood in front of the Union Station. What is Big O Tires? A national chain. So with that, should chains take over Ogden? I don't think so. Because local places still deserve a chance to be known. That's why the Union Station also holds events like art festivals, music festivals, to let local businesses hold booths and let people sample their food, look at art, etc. I would know. I worked at Brixton's Baked Potato for a while, and I've worked at these events. And let me just say, they're amazing. Super fun. So with that, we should have more events like this. That is what college students want. Why should we not celebrate local businesses? Why should we not have a 1920s party based on the cute little boutique shops that are placed around Ogden? Why should we not have a Wild West themed party for 3 days based on our famous railroad history? The problem is funding. We could always start to fund these events by clubs, promotions from the college, but let's face it, a lot of the money and funding could come from these huge chains. As much as they need to thrive in downtown Ogden, they need local businesses to thrive as well, to bring people in, you know, from local places around here to out-of-state places. It makes sense to hold these events. That's what I want as a college student. It's fun. Now, every chain started somewhere. Pizza Hut, the biggest national pizza chain in the world, started from a borrowed $600 from two brothers' mothers and a hut, Pizza Hut. It's kind of cool. But they started somewhere, and so do local businesses. I think that's worth something. Now, the founder of Ogden, Ogden Nash, once said, "Some debts are fun when acquiring them, but none are fun when you're set about retiring them." Please, let's not retire our local businesses, but let's help them and give Ogden the true recognition it deserves. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brady Libby. I'm here representing Weber State. I actually live in Morgan, but I'm down here quite often, and this is subject that's very close to my heart. I was going to use a PowerPoint, so I hope that's okay that I can use the screen as well. I've lived in Utah my whole life. I feel that it is one of the most beautiful states in the United States because of its diversity and the many opportunities that we have living here. We can visit the beautiful red rock structures in Moab, fish on one of the many rivers and streams that this state has to offer, vacation at places like Lake Powell, or ski or snowboard at one of the beautiful resorts that we have here to enjoy the best snow on earth. Now, I feel that a place is needed that can represent the diversity found here in Utah in one location. And for me, that place is historic 25th Street. It is clearly one of the most diverse places in the state. And I feel that it is truly a great attraction for this part of our beautiful state. Now, Ogden didn't always have the reputation that it has now. It was once a town that had a reputation for violence, scandals, and danger. It said that Al Capone himself said that Ogden was a city that was too wild a town for him. Now, the locals have worked long and hard to change that reputation. And I feel that many people have staked their livelihood on that change, and it has been a true success. Historic 25th Street has its own style, and I feel that that is largely what brings so many people to visit. On the city website, it speaks of 25th Street, and it says, historic 25th Street boasts some of the best dining in the state. Take your pick from more than a dozen locally owned independent restaurants. No chains here. Those are words from the city website. And what catches my attention is that it says no chains here. That's something that we're proud of because we support our local business owners. I feel that locally owned businesses are a great asset to this community. It keeps a historical feel and it maintains the local economy. We are supporting this community when we go to restaurants like Tona or like Roosters because that money is staying here and we're supporting our own. Chain restaurants, I feel, would take away from that much needed diversity that we have here. And it would also remove money from our community. There are good things about chain restaurants, but I feel that this community is in need of the diversity in the locally owned restaurants that we have currently. We cannot discriminate against anyone. We can't tell people that they can't open their doors. That's why the regulations that are in place right now are to regulate things like appearance. I feel that these regulations are a good thing for our 25th Street especially. Chain restaurants would change the feel of our community. Now, when visiting historical places like 25th Street, people hope to have a new experience. And I feel like that's what they get from 25th Street. But for others who want to stick to what they know, there are places like Riverdale where someone can easily eat at a chain restaurant and still be close enough to visit a museum or an exhibit here on 25th Street. My first experience with sushi, for example, was here at Tona, and it was very different from what I expected, but it was a great experience, and I loved every minute of it. I feel that my experience would have been very different had it been at a chain restaurant. I feel that we should I'll support the regulations that make it more difficult for chain restaurants to open up their doors in Ogden. These establishments, these locals have staked their livelihood at the success of their restaurants, their businesses, and I feel that it's our duty to support them. And 25th Street stands much to gain by keeping it local. Thank you.
You.
Hi, my name is Alexa Peterson. I'm with Weber State University. I'm in the communications department. And I will be speaking on the topic of business. So I know today the debate is on the topic of local versus chain restaurants, but for me, it's a lot bigger than that. For me, it's about the ability to shop small. It's not just about the mom and pop restaurants that give Ogden the ambiance. It's about Ogden allowing me to shop small. I was made to give this speech. The reason for that is for the past about 12 years, whenever I go on a road trip or a vacation with friends or family, I've been taught that we do not eat at big chain stores that we have here at home. We try to go to a locally owned restaurant so that we see what that town has to offer us, and we spend our money there. This tradition led to my curiosity as to why do we spend money at locally owned businesses? Why are those businesses there? Why do people have such great passions, and what are they willing to do to get there? When I was just 16 years old, I tried to fulfill this curiosity by walking up and down 25th and going around historic Ogden. As I was able to speak to a majority of the store owners, I found out the reason to my questions were that all of them had dreams and passions that they wanted to turn into their own realities. This is why I love downtown Ogden. This is why I'm perfect to give this speech, and this is why Ogden should stay the way that it is. Ogden is at risk for missing an opportunity of consumer sales, and there is a need to maintain that special feeling that comes with small shopping. In a study conducted in Salt Lake City, Utah by the Indy Impact Study Series to test the local recirculation of revenue, which is the amount of money put back into the local economy after a consumer purchase, and the national chain compared to small businesses found that only 13.6% of total revenue from a national chain stayed within the community, while 52% of total revenue collected by small businesses was left to recirculate within that local community. The study also found that 3.1% of small business revenue was appropriated to charitable giving within the community, while the national chain gave nothing, 0%. If Salt Lake City consumers were able to shift just 10% of their spending from chains to independents, they would retain an additional $362 million in the regional economy every year. We need to get consumers excited about shopping small because these numbers in Salt Lake City could be projected to the historic town of Ogden. Implementation of motivating the consumer is not only feasible, but would be extremely beneficial. There is a special feeling in those locally owned shops, and it's your responsibility to educate the public about the benefits from shopping at them. Many of these stores are specialty stores. Consumers want the best prices, consumers want the best product and customer service. Oftentimes, we discredit small businesses of being capable of having these qualities. According to Nicole Leinbach of Forbes magazine, big chain stores do not control the pricing of most products. Vendors do. When you consider brand names such as Nike or Under Armour, you have to consider that the prices identified on them are determined by the vendor. With little to no exceptions, stores have control over the price. Therefore, the prices you see are going to be the same at your national stores as well as your local stores. Motivating the consumers to spend just that 10% to put back into the community will help with projects that you might have planned for the future. With the money being spent at locally owned stores, you will start seeing numerous benefits with the healthy small business sector for both the community and the consumer. We see the creation and caretaking of the community character. I had the opportunity to go and talk to many of the store owners, and I was able to be taken on a tour. I went into Mojo's, which is a music venue. I was talking to the owner, and I asked him why. Why did he start this? What is his business for? He replied that he has a passion for music, and he wants his business to be a place where people that don't feel welcomed can go. He could tell I was interested in what he was telling me, so he offered to take me on a tour. In that tour, he took me in the basement where there was a door that was sealed off. I asked him what the door was. He said that it was there and sealed, and it was during the Prohibition era, and that was a tunnel to underground Ogden. No manager of a chain restaurant or store owner would have taken me on a tour, let alone take me in the basement, but the small business owner did. The fact that I knew his name, which is Ron, it was enough incentive for me to go back and spend money at his business. As you meet store owners, you get to know their personalities and their openness, which aids to myself and others coming back and spending money in your communities. Locally owned stores have that feeling of familiarity and comfortability spending money, and it is your responsibility to keep those feelings. I am a consumer of small businesses. I live 30 minutes south in a town of Centerville where there are hardly any locally owned stores. However, I am willing to come up here to spend my money in your town because of the locally owned stores. No one leaves a town wishing for a Walmart or a Denny's. Without the creativity of specialty stores, restaurants, and kindness, my money would have been put elsewhere. You have the responsibility to get your citizens to shift just 10% of their spending from chains to independents and encourage them to shop small. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for any of the speakers?
I'd like to know what was behind that door.
Go see Ron. We thank you for coming. Your speeches were very well prepared and well given. This is a, pardon?
I have a couple questions.
Oh, ask away.
Okay.
I don't
So
wanna
we just,
inhibit you.
anybody, you all looked at restaurants. It sounds like maybe the last person, sorry, I didn't get your name, but you looked at businesses, Alexa, yeah. Altogether, did anybody else look at other businesses as well, or just restaurants? Just restaurants, okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Just some comments. Alexa, I think you were spot on with just giving us facts and just really concise, so I appreciate that. Brady, I appreciated you tying in the history and kind of giving us a vision. It was kind of fun to watch, and Tara, just wanting Ogden to be fun and some of the facts, that was enjoyable. Just going back on some of my notes of highlights I wrote about your talks. And Brandon, the history, I think I touched on that. And then just the first one, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry. But she's the one that leaned over on her friend's shoulder afterwards because she was... but the importance of staying local and keeping our money here locally was impressive. Thank you.
I know you concentrated on 25th Street, but are there any other pockets in Ogden that would encourage local businesses outside of 25th Street?
Mr. Chair, I think they'll need to come forward
Now, we're
to
going to
speak into the
need
microphone.
if the five of you could come up and then take your turn at the mic as questions are asked. This is a public meeting and it is being recorded, and you guys don't get picked up very well back there.
And you're on TV as well.
And you're on TV too. Okay, who was talking? Was it you, Haley?
I live on the East Bench by Cafe Mercantile, which is an entirely locally run coffee shop that I love. I love that I can walk there, but I think the entire downtown area could benefit from it. And the way Salt Lake's set up, well, right now everyone's trying to move to Ogden. If you can tell on the East Bench, all the houses are going up for sale because people are starting to realize that this is a great place to live. I live there, so I'm seeing all of my neighbors put their houses up for sale. And I think as people start to occupy that area, more and more local businesses will pop up in those houses as well, such as in Sugar House in Salt Lake City, where a lot of the houses have turned into boutique stores. So I think that side of town could benefit from it as well.
Can I ask you a question while you're still there? You mentioned that you had moved here about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And that you contrasted like Salt Lake and Logan with Ogden.
Mm-hmm.
Since that time, what have you done personally in interactions with others to promote Ogden? I mean, is it something that you're excited about enough to tell friends and former associates that, hey, they need to come to Ogden because it's so great? Or?
I talk about it all the time. And when I first moved here, my friends are like, "You're crazy. What are you doing? Why are you moving to Ogden? Why aren't you moving back to Salt Lake City? We miss you. Come back here." And I wouldn't move back to Salt Lake City if you paid me. It's too crowded. It's too hip. I don't have a mustache. I don't feel like I fit in. My primary farm property is in Salt Lake, so I'm down there all the time, but I take Front Runner, and the commute is lovely. I get to work on my laptop while I'm on the train. While I'm doing outreach for my business, I'm constantly talking about only in Ogden, my Ogden, what business connections I can make here that I don't feel like I would have been able to do in Salt Lake City since it's so further developed. And a lot of the agriculture programs and community-supported agriculture programs are already developed there. We don't have that in Ogden yet. So the ability for me to go to a coffee shop and just overhear someone talking about their family or their shopping habits or the restaurants that they're going to and what they're consuming is a huge advantage to me. So I like to advertise that, and as I have friends come up, they go to the downtown area with me and they're kind of surprised. They didn't realize it was this cute, almost microcosm of a Park City up and coming. They don't know that, and once they come, they kind of get a taste for it and they want to come back.
Well, thank you. Any other questions?
What are the comments of the students up on campus about our downtown area?
Any of you?
Kara?
Oh, yeah, it's Kara. Next, Katie Kirk. So it's okay. I believe that a lot of the students really want to go to downtown Ogden for a new fun experience. Personally, going to Starbucks every Saturday night with my girlfriends gets old. As much as I hate to say that, I love Starbucks. But Grounds for Coffee is what established me looking into 25th Street, and now my friends won't go anywhere else. We will go maybe play some billiards at Fat Cats and then go to Grounds for Coffee afterward, in Tona, Roosters, when we're feeling particularly fancy, the Hearth. So I believe that students really want to be in that downtown environment where it's social, where there's different aspects that you couldn't find outside of that downtown area, especially 25th Street. It's historical, it's cute to look at, and it's fun to even just walk down. You feel like you're in another little world. I don't feel like I'm personally in Salt Lake City or even in Utah. I feel like I'm this cool, hip, groovy cat, strolling down with my girlfriends in a totally different setting and world. So I believe that college students want something else like that to see and more of it. But again, from my speech, the funding from it would be greatly helped from maybe a couple restaurants, bars here and there that could help support local restaurants.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
So I know with me and a lot of my friends from Weber State, a lot of us think that we need to go to down to Provo or Utah or up to Utah State to have a fun time and to go hang out with other kids there. But I think if as Ogden, the downtown really sponsors how fun really downtown is and how you can have fun just right here in Ogden. You don't have to drive an hour away to have a fun time. I think that'd be amazing if we really let the students at Weber State know that it is a great and fun area.
Okay, thank you. If you could talk to the director of the CVB, the Convention and Visitors Bureau for Ogden, and what would you advise them would be a good way to promote Ogden? How would you give us a tagline or something that sets us off?
Let's have one of the two that haven't spoken yet.
Alexa, what do you think?
I think something that can draw people here, being a student at Weber State in my classes, you want to know where people are from in your classes. And I've had several individuals be down where I am, is 30 minutes away. And I asked them, what brought you to Weber State University? And a lot of the responses came to, the people that are around here are kind people, which is a very true statement. A lot of the locally owners, they are kind people who care about their business, who are very passionate about what they do, and they're very open to share that with you. And people come to the university because they like the ambiance that the city of Ogden provides. As far as getting the word out that Ogden is a great place to be, social media using different kind of hashtags on a lot of the locally owned businesses have their own Facebook pages or Instagram pages, or if you tag them, they'll like give you 20% off. As far as promoting it, I think that even shopping small or keeping it local or come and visit or come and try it, promoting Ogden and promoting small business is going to be a huge part to attracting more money into your economy and attracting more students at Weber State. I'm one of the reason why I go to Weber State is because of the kind people that I was able to meet, and I wanted to spread that atmosphere of more college students. So promoting it through even your classes, or if any of you ever go to the university, just asking students why they're there or what they think of Ogden, or even bringing, like was mentioned earlier, bringing small businesses up on Harrison, bringing affordable small businesses for students to begin to shop local, and educating students about how important it is. I think that that would help to spread throughout.
Thank you.
Brady, anything? Any last words?
I feel like just getting the word out on campus, there are so many people just walking from class to class, even just posters or somebody out there greeting people and telling them to come down and visit. I feel like there are a lot of people that aren't from Utah that attend Weber State University, and they don't know a lot about the downtown area. They know what's close to them, and they know what people are talking about. So if there were more people down there talking about 25th Street, or even getting posters, like I said, just to promote the idea of coming down here. It's so close. Some people just don't know about it. I think that would be a good way to get a lot of people down here from the university.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from council members?
I have one comment. I just want to tell you guys that you are so impressive. Great job on your deliveries. And I also want to do a promotion for Ogden. 3 new restaurants are coming to 25th Street in the next little while, so you'll have to check them out.
Well, and if you maybe wanted to get involved with helping promote local businesses, there's a nonprofit organization called Local First Utah. They do a lot of stuff up here too, and that might be a way to maybe see if we could create some connections, because they do a lot to promote local businesses.
Sounds like our professor wants to come up.
I would just like to make a request. This is our inaugural appearance here, and we intend to do this each semester, spring, summer, but this is our inaugural moment with you, and you gave me a pretty good idea. By the way, these kids are going to get better. They're going to get better. They're great now, but they're going to get better. But if we may, could we take a photo?
Sure.
We do that, such as you did with the other folks. And that way we can place this into our own archives. Would that be possible? Thank
Great.
you.
Why don't you bring them? Please come on up.
Mr. Chair, this is Dr. Mark Merkley. We also have Kim Smith, who is an instructor. She's on a mobile device.
It's fun.
It's known as a scooter, but not the fun kind.
Okay, it looks like we got a center.
All right.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys.
You did a great job.
That was very convincing.
Thank you.
Thanks. We are related.
Thanks, Professor.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
It's just wonderful. Thank you.
It's been great.
Thank you.
Great job. Really enjoyed it. Thank you. You're in my chair.
I thought you knew your distant cousin.
No, we don't know each other.
But you're soon.
No, this is mine.
We just know we're related.
Somehow.
Well, that was great. Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. The first minutes for the work session of February 3rd, 2015. Councilmember Gochner.
Thank you. I have reviewed those and found them to be long and accurate.
And then for the study session and work session of February 17th, 2015, Councilmember Wicks.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. I reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate.
And for the work session of March 3rd, 2015, Councilmember Stevens.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they're correct, and I make a proposal that we approve the minutes that have been presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Stevens, second by Councilmember Blair to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Those pass. Next item is our common consent agenda. I have 4 items there, 3 public hearings, and then an appointment. Any discussion about any of these before we make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt to approve the common consent items A, B, C, and D.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Gochner, second by Vice Chair White, to set those public hearings on the first 3 for April 21st, and to appoint Neil Garner to the Weber Morgan Board of Health. And this is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
And a shout out for Councilmember Gardner. They need him. He's their chair.
He is their chair.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next item is reports from the Planning Commission concerning outdoor tire display in the CBD. Mr. Montgomery, welcome.
Mr. Chair and members of the council, you have before you tonight a recommendation from the Planning Commission concerning a petition that had been filed with the city to amend an ordinance in the downtown in the CBD zone. That petition asked that revisions be made to allow outdoor storage of and display of tires in the CBD. The present regulation is that in the downtown area, there is no outdoor storage allowed other than 2 scenarios. One is merchants are allowed to have their displays out in front within 2 feet of their building, so they can have a outdoor display of their products, but it's limited to the 2 feet in front of the building on the public sidewalk. The other is that a revision was made several years ago to allow outdoor display of garden items such as tables or garden furnishings, patio furnishings, and that was done as a conditional use. But those are the only 2 provisions under the present ordinance that allow outdoor display of goods in the CBD and the downtown area. So this petition asks that tires also be allowed to be displayed outdoors. As the Planning Commission reviewed this petition, they had 2 or 3 different meetings where this item was discussed. Originally, the staff had recommended that the request be denied, feeling it was not appropriate in the downtown area. But they also then gave several options to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission felt it appropriate to look at some of those options. And through the various meetings, they explored options. One of the considerations that was looked at during that review process was the difference in character of Wall Avenue versus the other parts of the downtown. We relied upon the Wall Avenue corridor plan to look at that, where the plan talked about a transitional area along Wall Avenue from the businesses to the south into downtown, and that there be a transition space between auto-oriented related uses and then uses that are more found in the downtown that are tighter in density, more building than outdoor yard space, and that type of thing. And so as the Planning Commission looked at that, they felt that this area that is south of 2550 is that transitional area where you make the difference, the distinction between auto-related and then what the downtown is, and felt that this would be an appropriate area to look at outdoor tire displays. Once they settled on that location of areas south of 2550, then they discussed how do you regulate what is displayed, what becomes a criteria of how many tires is allowed. Early staff recommendations had talked about just setting a number, 20 tires, 30 tires, 8 tires, something that would allow a product to be displayed but not be too large. But as we looked at it, said, what are the basis of those standards? we fell back to the basic concept that the outdoor display really is advertising and is signage. So why not include these as part of the signage requirement that every business has, that they're allowed a certain amount of signage, and that the tire display is part of that signage calculation. And so in the recommendation that's before you tonight, it has taken a look at that concept, that the amount of tires displayed is based on the signage allowed for that individual business. And the signage requirement is based on the frontage of the business. If a business has only one face on a street, then that dictates they're allowed 4 square feet of signage per linear foot of business frontage. If they're a corner lot, they can count both frontages. In this case, the person who's petitioning for this use, they are a corner lot. And as we calculated what would this mean to them, we looked at their present signage they have on the property and subtracting out what is left in terms of allowable signage, we calculated that they could display up to 103 tires and fit within this definition. There was some discussion among the Planning Commission of is this appropriate or not. The majority of the Planning Commission felt that this was an appropriate approach to take. And in their recommendation to you tonight, they are recommending that you amend the ordinance to allow outdoor tire displays as a conditional use in the CBD, that the areas of this display be limited to Wall Avenue south of 2550, and that the displays be located in areas that are not landscaping, that are not parking, but are open areas that they have on site, and that as they do the displays, the site has to meet all the general standards of any development in the downtown, and be up to date and have those as considerations that take place when a conditional use permit is reviewed. And so their recommendation to you on a 5-to-1 vote is to approve the proposed ordinance as I've mentioned.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Montgomery?
I have a question. I know we've sort of discussed a next phase of housing. Can you show us on the map where that is in relationship to this, and what is the status of that? Do we?
Sorry.
While Greg is looking, the status of the housing is waiting the final DEQ proposal for the environmental mediation, which I think we've actually got, and then it'll go from there.
So it's
it's
in the
relatively
works.
close.
Thank you.
So what you're talking about is this area right in here as the second phase of housing, and then here's where the tire store is, or the auto repair tire facility. You have a large warehouse that is right up to the property line that, it creates as an edge or buffer between the two areas. So there really is no visibility from the housing of this area other than what you see along Wall Avenue.
Is there a field between those two elements too?
But no,
Isn't there?
this is where the
Okay.
future phase of housing will take place. And so that would make it a solid mass.
There's a field now, so, okay.
Now, if you could on that map, point out the CBD boundary.
So that goes out to 27th Street.
Okay. Does it looks like M2 is across the street, across the wall, right?
Right, in this area. This is where St. Anne's is located.
Right.
Little store located there. This is property owned by the Union Station Foundation. It's a vacant area.
And it is CBD?
Yes.
Okay.
Where the Shoup Williams had been.
And then just one more time, can you point out where the laundry building is and the Union Station?
Yeah, the laundry building is located right here. Union Station is there. And so here's your facility. So from Union Station, really, this building acts as a buffer. The laundry building, of course, is right across the street from it.
I'd like to go to the Commissioner Blaisdell. and her comments. She mentioned about her negative vote because of the CBD district plan and the Wall Avenue corridor plan, and you mentioned that the corridor plan was Wall Avenue was in transition. What are those two plans say, and why is Wall Avenue in a transitional period at this time?
Well, it's not a transitional period. What it is there's a transitional zone. In other words, when we did the Wall Avenue corridor plan, we looked at uses along each segment. But when you hit one use versus another use, the line is not as clear. Should you just make a quick break, or do you allow that to transition and bleed into the next type of use? So when I say transitional area, it means it's the edge of one type of use and the beginning of another type of use. And the boundary between the two is a transitional space that allows some flexibility. And so it doesn't set a hard and fast line, but allows that area to just kind of to bleed together.
Is that kind of the difference, the methodology between form-based zoning? And so there aren't those hard lines, they can kind of blend?
That's one of those concepts that there are transitional areas, transects that take place, and as you move closer to downtown, the form takes a different shape.
And
so,
I guess with respects to that, where are we with respects to form-based zoning in Ogden? Are we anywhere close to making that switch? Or?
We're trying to work on a way we can accomplish that, but we're not anywhere close yet on that.
What about the CBD district plan? Is that different than the Wall Avenue corridor
Yes,
plan?
it is. The corridor plan looked only at Wall Avenue and the uses right along Wall Avenue.
Okay.
And it was done before the CBD plan. The CBD plan looks at the entire district of all the blocks in the downtown area. And so one of the things with plans, when you look at a corridor plan, it's what happens along that transportation route versus a district plan where it's looking at all the uses. And so it's just kind of blending both of them together and say, okay, what will make this work along a busy corridor? And what is the feel you want to have? Well, as you heard earlier, Union Station, 25th Street has its own identity. And that is a very solid area. And as you go to the south, that transitions and becomes more large businesses, whether it be manufacturing, small homes, auto-related uses, and have a mixture of things. And none of them have the same characteristics as being right up to the street, solid buildings, and parking behind, or that they're all parking in front. So it kind of blends both of those together and say, okay, how do we make them both work?
And Greg, in reference to the laundry building and where they can display these tires, my understanding is they can't display them on any of the grass that's in front of the building.
Correct.
That it has to be on pavement. The way that the business is set up, that their main entrance into that business is right on Wall.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to put the tires, right in.
They're not going to block their driveway.
Right. And so then the majority of it's just going to be on that 2550 side, on the pavement.
Yeah, it'd be kind of right in that angled area.
Right.
Between the two driveways.
Because it cannot block parking either, required parking.
No, you've
So
got to have.
they can't fill parking spots with stacked
Correct.
tires.
You've got to have your circulation, you've got to have your parking.
And I think that's why I say that is I think that helps us a little bit to kind of, back to Commissioner Blaisdell's comments is, I think there's big plans for that, for the Union Station and the future of the laundry building, and we don't want to deter from that.
Yeah.
But this, what the Planning Commission is presenting, it makes it so that they aren't all going to be displayed right on Wall.
But they're closer to Union Station on their display, from what I've seen from their property, that most of them are displayed up close to their entrance to their repair shop there, which is closer to Union Station. It's
Right.
it's not filtered throughout the whole.
Not a very big lot.
They don't have much space to put, yeah, and so they do put it at the corner where it's most visible, and that is along the Wall frontage.
So it's conditional overlay, correct?
It would be conditional use.
Conditional
So
use,
if someone wanted to apply for this, if you approve the ordinance, then they'd have to go to the Planning Commission with a site plan and a conditional use application. And the Planning Commission would then say, okay, where are you locating your tires? And do you have all the landscape improvements in that you need to do? Is it kept up, maintained? Those are things that be reviewing under that conditional use.
And if this owner was to sell to a hot tub company, could they continue to use the tire display, or does it go to the next owner, I guess?
Well, it runs as accessory to the business. Unless your hot tubs are made out of tires, it would not transfer that way.
In the first proposal, the Planning Commission indicated that they wanted to limit the tires to 34, but the petitioner said that was a disadvantage to him. Was that correct?
That was the planning staff's recommendation.
Yeah.
If the commission was going to consider it, we talked about maybe looking at it as temporary signage, which would be 20% of the allowed signage, which would calculate to 34. But then we said, if you want to look at it as your overall signage package, and that can get up to the 103 based on this one business location. And the commission felt that they liked that other option of just putting in the entire sign package rather than temporary signage at 20%.
I don't want to, I'm a cheerleader for anybody, business that can come into Ogden, but I'm also very concerned about the condition of Union Station and what we're trying to do there. The Standard Examiner did a piece on Union Station. It says it is the centerpiece of Ogden, which it is, and we have an opportunity to take a look at that because of the Union Station is an iconic building at the end of 25th Street and is a reminder of the Junction City Railroad past and its current reformation of what we want to do there. And I just think that we need to be very sensitive, at least I am, to the impact that it may have on Union Station. I just don't want to deter what we're trying to do there. I think you can display their product in a organized and well-organized area. And I know the fence is not the issue here, but the fence is a distraction to me also. But that's another story at another time. But I believe they can display their product a little better than what they are, whether they put covers over them to indicate that they are tires that can have advertising on those covers, as I've seen before. And I've looked at pictures such as Big O and Discount Tire and the way they displayed, and surely they have a larger property to take care of than what we have here. But I believe you can do a better job in displaying the impact of the tires in that area.
Well, I think Commissioner Blaisdell kind of echoed your sentiments of why her vote was the way it was.
Usually, companies that stack tires and then put a cover over them, those tires are old, worn out, not resellable tires.
Yeah.
These tires out here are their product, correct? They're trying to sell these tires, and that's what they're advertising their product. So I think that's a little bit different. Usually those tires with the covers over them, they don't bring those in at night and leave those out. They just leave them out all the time. So it's
So it may
a
be
little
better
different.
to have actual tires and not covers if you
Yeah.
didn't want it to be a permanent fixture covered with
Exactly.
cobwebs
Yeah.
and dirt and whatever else ends up on the cover.
But I was just, and maybe I can't remember, but was there a height limit to how high the tires could be stacked? I
There was not in the proposed ordinance.
Okay.
Generally, you look at any of the tire displays, it seems like they do 4 and then 1 perpendicular to the...
Yep. Which is what in the picture, that's what I noticed, and that's why I just wondered.
Any more questions for Mr. Montgomery? Okay, thank you. We would like to receive public input, but we would like to hear from the petitioner if he's here.
Hello, my name is Nick Babelis. I'm one of the landlords with my father. And so, I mean, to address some of the concerns, the fence, the fence isn't the prettiest, but either is the fence for the vacant lot that's, has got weeds growing all over, that has the tarp on it, that's blown in. The whole fence itself is kind of caved in. when you look down 25th Street, there's fence right there, right on the sidewalk. So, I mean, when you're talking about the fence, there's probably some more places that are a little bit more impactful right now than behind this big warehouse. The other thing is, the tenant has already told us, their lease is coming up pretty soon to renew. They've already told us, if this doesn't pass, they're not going to renew their lease. Well, we'll just have another vacant lot on Wall right next to 25th Street. Is that, how nice of an eye pleasantry is that going to be? And that's only going to further need the fence, because then we're not going to have people there during the day that's going to be able to watch over the building. So now we're really going to need the fence and maybe even some barbed wire to make sure the property's safe. So the other thing is, the restriction on the outdoor display is crucial for the CBD, because as was stated, all the buildings go right next to the sidewalk. So you can't have all these displays going into your sidewalk because you need the public sidewalk. Well, here, everything is within the fence. The sidewalk is there, and it's not being obstructed at all. And so they're keeping everything within the lines there, so there is no obstruction. And if we if you really want to see how much pedestrian walk past there, maybe there could be something looked at there. But you're not going to find very much pedestrian action going in front of these warehouses. The only people that walk in front of there are the day laborers and the people going to St. Anne's. I mean, if foot traffic from 25th Street doesn't go over to 26, there's nothing over on 26 for them except for Golden West Credit Union. I mean, unless they're going to pay a visit to the Scott's people. They've signed a long-term lease there in that building. They're going to be there for another 10 years. And that's in the same complex as this tire store. And so the tire store is not going to change. I mean, there's not enough room. We've already said that, the lot's pretty small. It's not going to change functions for quite some time, especially with this long-term lease with the Scott's people in that big warehouse. And maybe when that comes due, when that comes up and if they move out, maybe there'll be something there to do some residential or something else that fits the area and that can help maybe bring foot traffic over. But still there's no other businesses over on 26th Street which does bring foot traffic. There's just nothing over there. There's the Allsco linen place, whatever they do, the linen cleaning and the uniforms. Felt Auto. There's a couple of the smaller places there that are some of our tenants as well. The furniture store and also a little beauty salon. So there's a couple little things, but when you just look at it, it's mainly vehicle traffic that's going on 26th Street, and that south of 25th. And so I just want you to think about that. We are willing to take down the fence if that's going to help things, but if this business leaves, then we definitely can't take down the fence, because then this building is going to get vandalized, and it's just a matter of time. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
If there's any questions, or
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this?
Hello, my name's Tanner Payne. I guess said you want my address for record. It's 867 Quinn Court. It's just over by Ben Lomond High School. And to address what was said before about local businesses, Aurora D Thai Cuisine is the best Thai food in the state of Utah. If you've not been there, it's on 12th Street and 1200 West. It is fantastic. Also, I moved in.
Are you here to talk about the tire store?
No.
We have public comment later in the
for you
meeting.
in just a minute.
Public comment.
No, that'll happen in a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that.
So we'll let you come back up in just a minute.
Anyone else wishes to speak about the outdoor display of tires? Okay. Any discussion from the council? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2015-13 as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Councilmember Wicks, to adopt the ordinance 2015-13. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
No.
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
No. That passes, and we look forward to a nice display of tires.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to explain my no vote. It's not against the business, but it is my feeling of the impact that it may have on Union Station, and I think that's a critical aspect. I would hope that they are successful in what they're in their endeavors moving forward. There are different fence products that you can put up that are more attractive than what the ones there, and I'd encourage you to maybe look at that, wrought iron, or that would be safe for your establishment there. But my main concern is the impact that it has on Union Station and the surrounding areas there. So,
just for the record, my no vote had to do with just the nature of CBD. I didn't feel like tires were the best option in our CBD. I think that we should, if that were it would be better for us to look at a zone change rather than to open up this kind of a Pandora's box. So anyway, we will move on to the next item, which is public comment. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address clearly for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And now would be your opportunity.
So, Tanner Payne again. In regards to what was said about keeping Ogden local businesses, things like that, I moved up here from Mill Creek, where I was living for a few years while I was in school. And one of the main things, I think, was you were asking about a phrase. For my wife and I, we came for the job, but we stayed for the atmosphere. Or I guess atmosphere is a good word. So my wife loves downtown. She goes to the coffee shop. She goes to the antique stores. She likes to look at the clock shop. Over on 46th, there's an antique store she loves to go to. And so she's found all these little places that she really likes about Ogden, and we were both pleasantly surprised. We also had heard bad things about Ogden, but it is much more quaint and enjoyable than its reputation holds. So the other, I guess, topic I wanted to discuss was a road hazard on about 650 East 5th Street. On the north side of the street, there's a portion of the asphalt that's degrading and causing many bumps, and there's really no way to avoid it when you're traveling west because it takes up about 6 or 7 feet of the street. So I wondered if there was someone I could talk to propose a repair of that section.
We do have the expert
Is-
right over there, and he is taking notes feverishly. And if you'd like to hang around afterwards, I'm sure you could talk with him personally.
All right, that is my comment. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
And Roy D is very good, but it's in Marriott Slaterville.
That's true.
But it is very good.
Anyone else?
My name is Jeremy Cunningham, and my address is 625 Eccles, ECCLES Avenue. But I'm here because I was thinking that it'd be best of interest if we put a skate park on 2nd of Monroe in that little park area, because it's right by the schools, which a lot of people like to skateboard and ride bikes, and I personally like scootering. So that would be a good thing. And I have a best friend that likes to skateboard. And I don't know where any other skate parks are, but I know some are pretty far from here. And yeah,
How do you like the basketball court that's there?
good.
Good.
Yeah.
You want to point him to some skate parks?
There's one at Lauren Farr Park.
Okay.
Where that is? It's just right there by Mountain Road, or, excuse me, I think it's 17th Street in Gramercy, right by Lauren Farr Pool. It's a skate park there.
Where the stadium is located.
Yeah, try that one out. That's a good park. Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
It's a good place to get hurt when you're in your late 30s.
Yes,
My
yeah,
friends
knee and
discover.
elbow pads, helmets, always an important thing there.
My name's Virginia Hernandez, Virginia Hernandez Reza, and I live at 24 something at Jefferson Avenue. Anyway, the reason why I'm here today is because I did pull up today's agenda on the email, and I did recognize that the NAACP was recognizing this gentleman. The NAACP goes way back, and did he pass away? It seems like he passed away. Okay, so me and my community, maybe we do know this gentleman that passed away, but his family, the NAACP, they do need some recognition, even though they've been a small community in Ogden, but they've been very active. Okay, now I want to get back to the important part that I would like to say is at Weber State University. Okay, you had these young adults come here, and it was a good presentation. Out of that talk, I was really surprised and aware of what they're not all that way, the students up there, and a lot of them, the ones that were here, are not from Ogden. Okay, my concern is this. I'm going to let you all know this. I have been on a nonprofit named Ogdenites in Search of Information group. We've been doing this since 2005. What I have done is, in particular, we have done research from 2005 up until today. And the research was basically a lot of positive information, a lot of facts on the Hispanic American population, plus the minority community. I have come several times to this council and brought these issues up. And for my opinion, and other people that came with me, we were not really paid attention. That's my opinion, and I got facts on that. Here's the thing, that population is there. And we are now going to be very involved, and we're not happy with the way we have been recognized or treated. We got the facts. And I look at all of you, and you're all elected officials, and the mayor. The point here is that we did try for 4 years. Me first coming, and we were already coming since 2005 with previous mayors, okay, and council people. But we thought, let's work with the new people these 4 years. And that's what we do. 4 years have gone by. Basically, the Hispanic American community has not been recognized, have not been listened to, whether it's Weber State University, Ogden School District, here, nonprofits, community development. We got the facts with our research. I do, because I'm the director, the spokesperson. So what I'm really trying to point out to you, I will be coming now, almost every other meeting, what I did in 2005. I came to on people that were involved. We came to almost every city council meeting because we were not reached out to be educated. So I had to myself come to these meetings, so you will be seeing us here. All I'm just saying is that we're going to be out now. We're going to be recognized in the council meeting and who's ever involved with the city council and any fundings that come in, because we have not been recognized or paid attention to. And again, I can contact some of you separately, which I've tried, and have not been given the time from the mayor to the city council, and we'll do that. If not, we will be coming to the city council, giving out our issues, okay? Okay, I got it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Virginia.
Sure, appreciate it.
Hey, comments from administration?
Administration, just like to say thank you to Weber State and Weber Talks. I think that'll be a very valuable asset to our community to come in the future. And I'd like to also acknowledge all the hard work Bill Cook's done to help make that happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Any council member comments?
In regards to some of the comments from Virginia, you and I talk often, and we're always there to listen to you. And also, we've been working with LUPEC. I'm very sure that you're aware of LUPEC and their organization and their efforts to represent the Hispanic population. Okay, the Latinos population. And also, we are looking at some celebrations in the future to recognize and especially the Hispanic population and Latinos in our community. So,
any other council member comments?
I'd just like to call attention to the back wall. Amy Sue and our staff did a great job in putting it up. It looks very impressive and much different than what we were last time. So it's nice to have something like that there, and so people can enjoy and look at them. And I think it's more effective in here than out in the hall where they were. And Virginia, we are working very strongly and very earnestly to reach out to all people and citizens in Ogden, and we do have activities that are planned. So
we need to also mention Brittany in the realignment of the pictures. She spent a lot of time on that as well.
Thank you, Brittany.
They all look straight. That's a feat.
Okay. Anything else? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilmember Garner, second by Councilmember Gottner to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? As a reminder, there will be a city council work session immediately following this meeting, and it will be followed by a redevelopment agency work session. And the items to be discussed are on those agendas.